In today's episode of HR Visionaries, we talk to Michelle. We talk about a purposeful workplace. We talk about culture. Stay tuned. Welcome to HR Visionaries, where we unlock the secrets of modern HR. I'm Benjamin, your host. Join us as we shed light on today's HR universe with HR leaders and innovators from across the globe. Whether you're an HR pro, a business leader, or just curious about the future of work, this is your shortcut to the forefront of HR innovation. Brought to you by Hire, the AI talent attraction platform. Welcome to the latest episode of HR Visionaries. I'm looking forward to my guest, Michelle. It's great to have you.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Michelle, can you tell us a bit about yourself? Who are you?
I'm Michelle Rashid, and I'm the Senior Vice President of Culture and HR at a company called Virtuoso.
So in your title, culture is even before the more technical terms. Why is that?
Well, we felt that we wanted culture leading our HR initiatives. We look at HR as a lot of the functions and the tactical services that we offer to our employees, but we lead with culture framing and cushioning all of that. So it's kind of the fabric of our company is our purpose, how we act, and we wanted that to lead with that.
Was it a decision that was made by by the entire C-level, or who decided to put culture first?
That's a great question. So about 10 years ago, our CEO said, he wanted to formalize more who we were and how we do things. And that was when we talked about my role in the company, and I had expressed an interest in working in culture and organizational development. And so our CEO and our whole executive team did some work on defining what that meant. We work in the travel industry, the luxury travel industry. And so we talked about what happens when you travel. It's not just facilitating relationships with travelers or with our agency owners or our wonderful suppliers. It was what happens to you personally when you travel, how we change, how we're impacted, how we connect. So we came up with, why we exist is to enrich lives through human connection. And that is what our travel company does. And so we also then thought about how do we act, what are our behaviors, what are our core values, what are the strategic anchors, the things that we use to make decisions. So we went through a formal process to identify those things, and that created the foundation of our culture, a very clear, defined culture. And so, that was 10 years ago, and we're going strong. We're proud of it, and it's really helped us a lot, especially through things like the challenge of COVID and other things like that. So.
I can imagine that COVID was in particular difficult in the travel industry. But Michelle, would you mind telling us a bit more how you designed the process of finding out, what are our core values? So it's, I think, for many people hard to grasp, given, values is very often kind of intangible, and you made it rather tangible indeed.
Yes, that's a great point. A lot of people, when they think about values, they go directly to aspirational values, like what they want to be versus what is actually existing. So we thought about what actually exists that makes us unique and special, different from other companies. And we thought about actual people in our company. And we all sat there and brainstormed, and we brought up different names of people. So we thought of people who already worked for us, that were like those people that you go to that we felt were the essence of the types of employees we wanted to hire. So those values became seek to understand. So it's people who just didn't answer your question, but they really wanted to know, what are you trying to do? Let me help you with a bigger perspective. Continuously learn. So we're passionate learners. Our CEO is a passionate self-development person. He loves learning new things. And having self-awareness, and win. That is a lot about collaboration. We thought about the people who are successful here really understand that it's not about just one person getting what they need, but it's about what is that collective result. So we really focus a lot on that, the collaboration that we saw, and sincerity and kindness. You know, working in the travel industry, the word hospitality, that in itself is such a cultural thing. It's such a sense of service. Like, I'm just amazed when I experience it to this day. So serving with sincerity and kindness is kind, not nice, where we try to build enough trust that we tell the truth. We want to have the truth, not just be nice. So respectfully, we tell the truth. So those are the things. And the way we came up with them was we looked at who we had, what was real, what was there, and then how to build upon that.
You just mentioned you looked at those people who were most successful. Okay, it's a very philosophical question. I appreciate that. How did you define success?
Define success as people who have come into the company and grown in their roles, that were able to identify their unique abilities, things that they brought that were special to the role. So it's people who were able to be successful, to do well, to expand their capacities and bring value to the company, help us, and that we're able to help other people grow. So they were good at interacting, this human connection and personal relationships. So they were able to do that. Not everybody is a good collaborator. But in the kind of matrixed global company that we are, we needed people who like collaborating. So those are the people who were good at collaborating. They had good personal relationships. They were able to grow in their own roles and learn and bring more value. And those are really some of the key things that we look for. And then success also is they were happy here, and they were helping extend that feeling to others. They made other people feel welcome, like they became part of who we are. So that's what we considered success here.
Well, and you said, you kicked off this process already 10 years ago. So you were, a bit ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I think we knew that it was a bit of a buzzword 10 years ago, culture. And
Exactly, yeah.
I was fortunate. I worked at Starbucks headquarters for 5 years before I worked at this company, Virtuoso. And one of my colleagues worked at Disney Corporation. And we would talk about what we learned at those big brand companies that were known for culture. So we were familiar with people talking about what is corporate culture and what were the things we took away. And we saw the pockets of that here. And we used to say, man, if we could do this here, this is what we would do. And so that's I think we were ahead of it because we so happened to have that experience. And so when we brought it to our CEO and said, hey, we really think we have an opportunity here. Again, he's a learner. He's a visionary. He's always looking to the future. He is always looking for like, what's next? Like not just responding, but how can we help? How can we lead? So it really aligned nicely with our owner and our CEO's vision as well. So yes, we were a little ahead of the curve thanks to him. So yeah.
How important is the very senior management buy-in?
It's everything. It is absolutely critical. Not only the whole senior team aligned, but having the owner or leader be the chief reminding officer, the chief culture officer. I think incorporating it into your company, but having your leaders exemplify it. We also made sure that our leaders, understood like what the behaviors were that we were looking for, so that they showed that. But it took a concerted effort. It's a very conscious, intentional thing. And our CEO, I would say it was mostly him. Yes, the executive team as well. But if it wasn't for him, I think people hear him and relate to him and connect to him. So when he would stand there and talk about we're seeking to understand, or we're looking for the win-win-win, that's what really cemented it for people, that they knew it was real. So yes, it's absolutely key to have that clarity and alignment of your team, but you've got to have that leader at the top.
Well, let's assume a situation where you don't have that leader at the top, and nevertheless, you're ambitious and want to bring culture forward. How would you do that? Is that even possible?
It's not impossible. Everything's possible, but I think everybody has a sphere of influence. We all have a sphere of influence with our friends, with our families, with our colleagues. And I think you can make some small changes in your immediate, even in how you are as an individual, as one individual. I think people respond to that kind of energy and intention. And so I do think you can create a sphere of influence in a department. I heard a story. I was at a culture conference and I heard a story of a woman who worked for the FAA, the Federal Aviation Association in the United States, government agency, not culture known. And she told a story about her sphere of influence. This one woman started to incorporate some processes, culture processes, and her little group started doing so well, everybody noticed and they said, "What are you doing?" So she shared with that manager, and she ended up meeting with the United States Congress to talk about what she was doing to impact the FAA. So I know that's kind of a Cinderella story. Maybe it's not all going to be that big, but I really was blown away. I could not believe that. So it is possible, but also it just gives you personal satisfaction when you honor who you are and what you believe in. You create your own purpose and your own meaning. So hopefully when you go to work and come home at night, you feel like you did your best and you honored who you are. So I think you can do that too.
Was culture always so important to you?
It's interesting. I learned about it, I'd say, formally when I started working at Starbucks Coffee Company, where they talked about corporate culture and they really had a way of thinking. I mean, I still say we sometimes when I talk about Starbucks. I still wipe off any spilled coffee at the cream bar. I'll put some garbage in. Like I couldn't believe like what an amazing job they did. And it's because they talked about coffee. You learn all about coffee, how it's made. You learn all about the impact we have on origin countries. So that's where I think it really connected for me. I think we all are influenced by it. I think we all look for those things, or they're subconsciously there. But that was really where I think I started to make the connection of like, wow, this is amazing when you understand a purpose or a core or why it's there. You're much more interested in working harder and just being you're happy to be part of something. You just have more satisfaction in your job.
Well, you mentioned that Starbucks had very strong values back then. So many. I think it's fair to say that many companies also struggle a bit when it comes to values, given they perhaps have difficulties in the management team to agree on a certain set of standards or what's important for us. And even if they agree, it doesn't necessarily mean that the entire organization is on board. Can you walk us a bit through the process of how the topic of values and culture became important to corporate America and to corporates around the world?
Yeah, it's like, it was all happening in different ways, probably. I think in my experience, again, I think as people in society are more distributed and not as there's more of this nuclear family. We're separate from where we came from. We've moved away. I think people are looking to business and corporate level for more of those purpose things that we might have gotten from going to church or to synagogue or from social groups or big family gatherings, working in a family business. A lot of that it's more distributed. So I think we're looking for more of that in corporate America. Hence, I think this evolution of culture, which is incorporating more values-based things. Now people really have expectations on sustainability, on diversity. They are looking to their companies to have an opinion, to have information about that. They're looking for connection with their colleagues. They're looking to make friends, to have social connections. So I think corporate America was kind of responding to humanity and communities changing. I think that's where it started. I don't know if I'm right, but yeah.
I think it makes perfect sense, right? Given so people move to other states, other cities to take up jobs, and then your family is still where you're originally from, and you find new friends. You spend Thanksgiving with people you met only a few years ago, but it's still super important then, right? So
Yeah.
it makes perfect sense. Well, can you tell us a bit more about your time at Starbucks? So you mentioned, okay, it was great working there. So can you tell us a bit more about your time at Starbucks? Here you mentioned, okay, it was great working there, a strong culture, working for such a well-renowned brand. How can I picture this?
Well, it's funny. I lived in Canada. I moved to Seattle and I said, I want to work at Boeing, Microsoft, or Starbucks. And I was lucky that I got a job at Starbucks. And I started honestly as a customer and a fan. I love the product. I love the consistency. I loved everything about it. And I thought, oh my gosh, who wouldn't want to work for a company of a product you personally like? So I started, oh, go ahead. Sorry.
What's your favorite product?
The coffee, coffee product from Starbucks. So my favorite is
it can also be cake, so whatever.
Yeah, the coffee direct, like I love lattes, I love shaken espressos. They're so good, but I love their consistency. It was so consistent, and they just did a lovely job of making coffee, like this coffee culture. Of it created that place to sit with your friends. And so I started as an assistant there. I was an executive assistant and I worked in store development where they come up with the design, the construction, the architecture, everything that represents Starbucks. So amazing place to land. And executive assistant is a great role to learn a lot about businesses. You get a air traffic controller view of everything. So that was really interesting. And then I shifted into the Hear Music department, which became Starbucks Entertainment. And that was a lot about this curated music that they played in the stores. It was so popular, they sold the CDs. And so those were the two areas that I was able to work in. And just looking at how Starbucks collaborated, how Starbucks extended into a global footprint and kept sort of this brand consistency, but were regionally relevant. I thought they did a great job of that. So that was, again, amazing to me that anywhere you go, you can have this consistent experience, and their brand is so well known that there's no writing on it anymore. It's just the brand. It started saying Starbucks coffee. Now it's just known as the brand. So it's very, such down to earth, nice people. And again, a visionary leader, Howard Schultz, as a visionary leader, speaking every day, talking to the employees, talking to the shareholders, believing in everything. When you hear that from him, this is what was inspiring and influential. That really makes a difference. So you feel connected, you feel like this person cares. That was very powerful.
I can very much relate. I think it's a great work for a great leader, where learning opportunities arise basically every day, because okay, there's always something you can learn from this person, not because of he or she is very powerful, but he or she is just leading the way, and people follow naturally then.
Yes, yeah, they're inspiring you to follow, inspiring you to be part of something. So it's very special, and I think that's unique to Starbucks. And I saw that here at Virtuoso, and that's where the connection. I was like, oh my gosh, Matthew Upchurch, our owner and our CEO, the same thing. He's visionary, he's inspirational, he's so warm and engaging. Everyone who meets him is just, they never forget it. And he just believes so much in the power of travel for good. He believes so much in helping people have their own success, that collective success. He's rooting for them. Our shared value proposition is always about shared value, not just extraction of value. And I really believe that when you have a leader who emphasizes that and is fully engaged in it, is where, again, you can extend culture and values and purpose. And people want to be part of that. They want to follow.
If I may ask, so you moved from a role that I think everyone can tell this, you're very much identified with. You were very happy in your role. It was very inspiring environment. And then you moved to another company, and you're now also talking so warmly about the leadership. So how was this shift for you, and how important was having a great leader at the top for you when making that decision?
That's a great question. And that was everything. I just wanted to change after 5 years of working there. I at Starbucks, I just thought I'd like to do something different. So this was, a friend recommendation. Hey, I know this travel company. And I said, I don't know. Yeah, travel's fine. But and they said, well, if you just meet the person, so I met at the time the president here. And I said, okay, I'll meet her for coffee. And we met and we talked more about as people, about our children and balancing work and family. And it felt like I was talking to a friend. And at the end of that coffee meeting, she said, I'd really love to work with you. And I said, yeah. And I remember thinking, I don't care what I'm doing, whether I'm cleaning floors or doing, filing things. I just thought I really want to work for her. So that leadership was powerful. And then I met Matthew, who's the owner, and he came to Seattle and he was full of life and passion and energy. And it clinched it for me. It's important to me to work for people that care about what they do and that are kind people, that are nice humans, that are down to earth and grounded and warm. And they were all those things. And there was a lot to learn, coming into this luxury travel industry. I didn't know a lot, but I did look up, though, the impact of travel from the WTTC. For me, again, having a purposeful company, and travel does have a massive impact on the amount of people who have jobs around the planet from travel is extraordinary. The impact on local economies, on cultural heritage, so many things that we highlight here in our sustainability, our 3 pillars is it's the earth, it's culture, and it's local economies. And, finding that out even before I joined or as I was joining definitely has the stickiness factor of wanting to stay and be part of this. Because at first I thought, well, maybe I'll do this for a little while. But when I realized the impact that it had, I thought, gosh, this is checking a lot of boxes of values that were important to me. So
when you now talk to people who you want to acquire, who might be interested in joining, how important is this? Well, having strong values, communicating those values. How important is this nowadays?
As someone looking for a job, or what we look for in candidates?
Both, right? So what you look for in candidates, and what people like as not only what you want, but also what they after.
Yeah, we find in hiring and looking at candidates, we find people are asking this. People come with questions about what do you do for diversity? What are you doing for sustainability? It's becoming something that the younger workforce or people newer to the workforce are expecting and asking about. And then personally, I say I advise my own kids who are young adults in their 20s and 30s, and I ask them, they tell me the same thing, but I ask them, what's important to you? How do you want to feel when you go to work? What kind of people do you want to work with? What is your goal? And trying to get them to align, sooner on those things. It took me a little bit longer to get there. So I'm trying to share what I've learned. And I even encourage them, I've taken a lot of the culture work we've done here personally. What are my personal core values? What are my strategic lenses when I make decisions? What's important to me as a person? And oh my gosh, I wish we could all learn that in high school or in university, right? We should have a little class about how to develop that, because it can help you to know yourself and it can help you to guide difficult decisions. The world is complex and it's hard. And sometimes having a little bit of personal clarity can make a big difference. So that's what I would share with people.
Indeed, is actually strange, right? So why aren't there those courses in university or in high school?
I don't know. I think they're starting to do more life skills, like teaching people how to pay their bills and pay their taxes and manage their money and things like that. But I think it goes deeper. I think understanding why is money important to you? Money is important to a certain extent, but I think it's good for people to think about what's the level of importance. What kind of experience do they want? Do they want to be in an office? Do they want to be out of an office? There are so many options now, and it's overwhelming. I think people shut down because they just don't have a way to do this. Maybe they are starting to do more classes like this. It's been a long time since I've been in university, so but it would be a good course, I think, to offer.
Yeah. Well, we talked briefly about luxury travel. Can you tell us a bit more about what you guys actually do? So you dropped already some hints, but I'm curious to find out more.
Sure. We're an invitation-only network, so we're kind of this corporate hub. We provide professional development classes. We have events where people can network. We help them with websites and marketing, and we have publications and things like that. And when I say them, our clients then are B2B, are people who own agencies. We call them our members. So they're agency owners of luxury travel agencies. They're invited in based on a percentage of sales to luxury suppliers. And we try to have a nice curated mix. Some of them are really big mega agencies. Some of them are small and medium size. And we try to support them as fellow entrepreneurs. And so there's those agency owners and then all of their travel advisors. Some are full-time employees. A lot of them are ICs. So that's kind of one big bucket. The other bucket is all of our wonderful suppliers, which we call our partners. So airlines, hoteliers, tour operators, tourism board alliances, things like that. And they are vetted in. Again, we try to have a nice collection of those. So like some Four Seasons are in, but maybe not all Four Seasons, but like boutique hotels, big hotels, all different kinds. And so it creates this little network, this little invitation network, and we can create exclusive travel product. So there's kind of this insider access to things that are special just for Virtuoso. And we really it's all about the relationship between a customer and their advisor. So a traveler and their advisor, like in finance, you have your ROI, your return on investment. So we have an ROL, your return on life. So like a financial advisor, you create a trusted relationship with this travel advisor. They are handling your most precious asset, your time, right? So we try to support that relationship by making the best advisors, by supporting those owners, by getting the best products so that human beings can have that human connection experience on their travels.
Return on life. I absolutely love that. That KPI. It's something one should focus on much more. Michelle, I was wondering. So we talked about values, talked about sustainability quite a bit. However, some people might argue, luxury travel, luxury products, and sustainability are two very opposite things. I personally wouldn't say so because I enjoy luxury things, but there might be those people who say this, and are those people, what do you tell those people? And then secondly, are those people also potential candidates for you to work with you?
Yeah, I was actually thinking, leading with the second part is there is absolutely very important choices people can make. And a lot of it is just having education and awareness around it. That travel, as I said, actually has an incredible impact on the planet, on local economies, on sustaining culture. So I think when people get to see it that way, so I can take a luxury trip and go to this place and I'm helping the environment. Yes. We highlight incredible things that our partners are doing, like creating air conditioning systems with seawater. I mean, just amazing things. So I think for people who that is really important for, there are a lot of ways that we can help them feel like they're giving back. And we track all of the incredible efforts that our whole network have on, whether it's carbon offsets or local programs that they're doing locally to help preserve nature and preserve cultural things. I think the more you educate, the more you can find that nice balance. And then, there is, it's true that travel, like, of course, planes, trains, transportation. I mean, we all saw during COVID when it slowed down, there is an environmental impact. I think it's going to happen. It's going to happen. So we may as well be able to offer some lenses in which to do it in the most responsible way possible, but also seeing that bigger picture of how stopping all travel would create collapse in many areas of the world that desperately need it. It's one of their main economies. So I think when you look at the holistic, bigger picture, it's never just one thing that's causing a lot of this, and that we really value putting awareness on trying to do good, and a lot of travelers ask, how can I travel and do more? How can I help? They just had this incredible experience. How do I sustain this for my grandchildren and beyond? So that's the power of travel, right? Is that we can hopefully inspire people to care, to want to see what's out there to save, so they can try to help preserve it.
What's for you personally, the the trip you find, or you found best, most awesome in your traveler's life?
Wow, it's always hard when someone asks your favorite trip, but I think I like how you put it, what that personally affected me. And I would say I did a safari in South Africa, which is a little bit more intimate. And I will tell you, I felt it was like magic. I mean, elephants right in front of you, and the sun is setting and a giraffe walks by. It was like being in a movie set and they said, cue the giraffe. I mean, it was just absolutely beautiful. But there's something that happens to you physically, like the groundedness of nature and where we come from. And I'd heard that before, but to experience it, I think that was one. And the people in Africa, oh my gosh, just the most generous, beautiful, kind, incredible people. I'll never, ever forget it. I think that was the most impactful experience of my life. So, yeah.
It's actually really funny because I was about to say a safari in South Africa too, given I think a few things have left such a deep impression on me than seeing like an elephant in its entirety, right? So it's like, okay, just a massive animal, however, also not just powerful, but also fragile in so many ways, the same as a rhino, for example. So and think about, okay, well, there are poachers, and they erase and entire races, just for monetary gain, which is so incredibly sad, and therefore, also something I've recommended to people. Well, if you want to realize how valuable and how amazing those animals are, you have to see this not in a zoo, but you have to see that those animals in real life, in nature.
Absolutely. It's like, it's magic. And I mean, just a second one popped in my head. My father is from Afghanistan, and he went to college, became a doctor, moved to the United States, met my mom, an American, and had his life there. But when we were young, we went to visit Afghanistan when you were able to do so. And I will say that also massive impact to go as a child somewhere like that, where you see, frankly, beautiful at the time, very, it was very westernized. And then to go back as a young adult and see how it was damaged and destroyed, it was very impactful. But it was good to see a completely different culture as a child. It does give you a different lens. Like, you remember seeing that, it makes you have an appreciation for what you have and what a lot of people don't have. So that was another one that I forget to say that, but I really think that makes me, it's to this day, I remember feeling lucky, feeling fortunate that, I was able to be raised in a country that's relatively safe, and, just by chance. So anyway, that was another one that I think is really, it's important to know where you come from too, and understand your roots.
Indeed. And it's amazing what you told us about, well, how to also emotionally connect to your work, and how important this is to, well, go to work every day with a smile, and be, well, just like super engaged and super happy being part of the team.
Yeah, I know. Can't ask for better than that, Yeah, it's great.
Michelle, thank you so much for well, for your insights. It was incredible talking to you, and it's great fun. Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you so much. It was my pleasure. It's lovely to talk to you. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.
Thank you so much, and all of you guys, thanks a lot for listening in, and see you next time.